welcome. And before we do public comment, I think, are there any changes to the agenda?
Good.
Okay, right,
State the date.
today is January 23rd, Monday. And, do we have any public comment about items that are not on the agenda?
So we
I
need
don't
that
know
one.
why that is here. I'm like,
No, that's.
So what is it on? On this, on the. Hold on.
How about now?
Can you hear now? No. What did you do? Oh, nice.
All right, so the first part of the meeting was all.
Perfect.
So
Secret.
sorry.
Oh, no. Should be these.
Yeah, should you?
So John, why don't you give a quick review of what we've done up to now, which isn't a lot.
We had an opportunity for public comment. Do we have any public comment that's not related to the agenda? Okay, and then we've discussed the select board meeting from last Tuesday, where we discussed East Cochran Road parking. And now we're going to discuss ordinance work for Cochran Road and Dugway Road.
Let's say something to make sure we hear her.
Can you hear us,
Can you say
Lisa?
that?
Okay.
Okay.
This.
Oh, I thought I should.
I heard that.
Share password. See if-
What's the password?
Yeah.
Is it not sharing
What is it?
it? It saw me, I don't know what it is.
Okay, that's fine. Okay.
Wait, for, you need Wi-Fi password?
Yeah, I'm on,
I can go on my phone.
password not shared, let's see.
I think it's this one. Try this one, which says Wi-Fi. It might be old. Yeah.
And you're on a different SSID. You're on the that's for the Mansfield CTV guest.
Okay.
Oh, there you go. You got it?
Thanks.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay.
Well, I'm not sure what we need to discuss about ordinance work.
Yeah, I don't either, honestly, I think we were talking a little bit about signage and maybe working with Pete. Obviously, he's the guy who does this stuff. And maps, didn't know if Kevin needed anything else for the select board or the town. Do we need any more work
Do
here?
we know? So I think Kevin's on it, but do we know what the actual process is? We have draft language. I know that it has to go to the town attorney.
You think,
Do
yeah,
do we know who's driving the process? Is it us?
no,
Or
I
Kevin?
think we present to the select board review, has the attorney review it. And then they put it out for 30 days or whatever the
Yeah.
argument is.
But I guess what I want to know is from calling cadence on it, you know, project managing it through, make sure that it's not sitting on somebody's desk.
I really think Kevin
Kevin,
is in conversation with Josh.
gotcha.
Because Kevin asked for the wording on the ordinance and he was meeting with Josh. And maybe we just come back to that.
Okay.
To that.
Yeah, when he comes
When
in,
he comes at
Yeah, see if he
7:15.
needs anything else. Yes.
I'm not sure at this place we're gonna be there.
That's right. It's okay. It's okay to
That's
have a
great.
light meeting.
I
We've had
love
some
that.
pretty intense meetings, so.
Yeah,
Are we ready to move on to enforcement?
yeah. Let's do that. I'm for it. I think, so the issue was. I'd like to hear what people think. I think the issue was that the RPD is just short-handed, right? That they don't have enough person power to be in all those places on all those days. Is that, I want to make sure we know what problem we're trying to solve.
We talking, then there was a discussion of the fines too. I don't know if that is
Yeah.
Yeah. those are
including that today.
Yeah, I think we should.
Yeah, it just seems that, to me, that as an advisory group, we look for where we can get extra parking, we look how the recreational parking works out. And where not to park, and then to miss the enforcement part is really like, That's, it's half of it to me, it's just like. Clearly say where you can and can't, and then the enforcement of it, the communication and the enforcement, so I feel like it's the right thing to talk about. And advocate for.
And I think those are two different things, right? The fines. Well, I guess the fines only matter if we can enforce it. So with the enforcement, I think the problem we were trying to solve, and that's why we have to be clear, is that RPD doesn't have enough officers on those intense days to do that and do their other duties. Is that what people understand? And that's what I've heard from Officer Dengler.
Mhm.
And so I guess if we buy that, then what we're looking for is recommendations on how they can augment their resource on those, on those predicted days. Is that right?
Are we gonna merge with Heinsberg and it'll double?
Well, I think whatever they do, I think to your point, it's got to be flexible, that if something changes, if they hire people, if they lose people, if we merge, that anything we do is not permanent, like they're not gonna hire more officers just for this, is the assumption. So I think the idea of some temporary, I think some sort of temporary arrangement that based on, it doesn't have to be every day, right? I think the weather data, we know it's gonna be hot summer days on, Friday through Sunday or something like that, that having some sort of pool of additional people, whether they've talked about contracting with the state sheriff, with state troopers who want to take additional hours, or we had talked about this idea of traffic wardens.
So there's two topics here.
Yeah.
The fines
So,
and extra help.
and I think that to what you said before, is I think the fines don't matter if you don't have enforcement.
So which one do you want to talk about first?
Well,
Enforcement.
do these actually fall in the purview of what we're supposed to be discussing?
that's the
It seems like this is off in the ditch a little bit.
So I like your ditch.
Well, I mean, over the guardrails, I guess is what I'm thinking.
I agree. I feel like that's why I started saying like, is this our purview? Should we?
I believe it is. And the reason I believe it is, and I think there's an order that we changed the ordinances so that we can put ropes and signage in the unsafe places and indicated where, where people could park safely. None of that, I think your point is that none of that matters. There are already, ordinances on the book that aren't being enforced on Dugway Road or on West White. And the only thing that will make this different is if we have those new ordinances, if they can be enforced, and if they're enforced, what is the penalty? So it's an order. And I think that if we don't take that on as our purview, then everything we're saying here doesn't matter. Or in other words, from a recommendation. So that's my logic. They don't have to take it.
They don't take it, but you can recommend that this is the other side of the coin.
So the sequence to me would be ordinances, enforcement, and if we wanted to change a penalty. And if we don't do it, then we're counting on them to have to do it. Does it matter whether we recommend something?
What do you think? Well, is this our purview? You said yes. What do you think, Chuck?
No.
Okay, what do you think, John?
If we have some novel idea that hasn't been considered, we could suggest it, but. I mean, the police need to decide for themselves with the select board's advice as to how they use their resources.
But you're.
I want to be careful that we're not stepping on the toes of somebody else in this. It really isn't I don't feel it's our job to go out and find an arm of the law to go out and enforce our ordinances.
Yeah,
Just because it's our ordinance.
right.
I feel that's if Richmond PD feels like they're stretched out too far, and one of the goals of these new ordinances is to have them so they're not stretched out so far. You know, they're not
Yeah.
spending all weekend between East Cochran and Dugbury Road.
Right.
So I think this is probably something that's not in our expertise and certainly isn't somebody else's expertise.
Yeah, I'm mixed. I think that we can say that, you know, we can do all the ordinances we want to do, but if we don't have enforcement, then it doesn't matter. So I think there's that balance. Yeah. Yeah,
I think, you said, John, so I think that if we're stating the obvious, like, you know, we're telling, you know, we may be overstepping and telling our people, because we don't know what it's like to do their job, et cetera. But I think your point is if we've got an idea to explore, then maybe it's not a bad thing to put in.
Well, yeah, if
Maybe not just stating, you know, something that sounds like we're stepping on their autonomy.
yeah, if the county sheriff's department could somehow provide extra help, and we could suggest, and I don't know if they can or if that's at all feasible, but something like that. That'd be different than saying, stop issuing speed tickets on Cochran Road. We want you to work on parking tickets, which would not be for us to say.
so the follow-up of last summer is the sheriff department said they didn't have any extra
Oh, okay. Yeah.
personnel, which is everyone is short-staffed everywhere, including police officers. And we could say, well, some towns have traffic wardens or meter people, or we don't have meters, but we, you know, perhaps this would be a good spot for a summer job. We could put that recommendation and say like, but yeah.
Do you know what makes me think about this is maybe this is an opportunity to go talk to Chief Eric and see what our PD thinks. So maybe as opposed to an end around where we make the recommendation to the select board, I think it would be. Does that make sense?
My gut feeling is that the select board is knows good and well that we're shorthanded on law enforcement. I'm guessing they're probably looking at every possible answer to this. You know, my gut feeling is that by simplifying some of the parking that we've done with these proposed ordinances, and by raising the fine to $100 or whatever we decide we're going to do with whatever the select board decides they're going to do with the fine, $100 is the number I keep hearing get bounced around. With that being posted on the signs, that we are going to be lightening the load of the police department already. They're having spoken, acting Chief Willett about this. You know, he's welcoming anything that buys them a little bit of weekend time, and clarity is one of those things that we're giving them.
Do we, since we opened the door of the fines, are we on the hook to bring any data to the select board, or are the feelings that we planted the seed and it's up to them to take it?
It's a great question, because I wondered the same thing.
Mhm.
You know, so there are three things that we've come up with as plans to change parking. Two of them we put out there. The fine thing, we've nibbled around the edges and kind of put it out there. Do we need to do something official, or have we delivered the message to the select board? My feeling was the select board had done a little bit of digging on this, and they found that we hadn't raised the fine since 1994 or whatever it is. I heard Jay talking to someone on the board, and I thought they'd done a little digging on this. It probably wouldn't be a bad idea to do a formal pitch.
Well, I suggest that maybe Kevin talk to Josh and say, hey, we sort of put this fine thing out, we sort of talked about more enforcement. Do you want us to do anything more on this? Does the select board want us to do anything more on this, or is that all we need to do? Again, we're serving at the purview of the select board, so if they're all good, maybe we should ask that question. Are you all right with that?
maybe Kevin we did put together, I put together that fine, what all our neighboring towns are doing for fines and what Burlington does for fines and all that, and it kind of demonstrated that we're out of the loop on this. I think that coming from Kevin would probably be a linchpin in getting this looked at.
Yeah, and that data from the parking tickets, I don't know if anyone ever looks at that data. With what, three years now, 2022.
Oh, the stuff from Diane.
Yeah, I was looking at that, about 75% of the tickets get paid.
Which is pretty good.
I was really impressed with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Faith in common man has gone up.
Okay.
That's all right.
I don't know, yeah, I don't, yeah, so I guess the question is, I would like that, yeah, are parking tickets the price of a parking ticket a deterrent? I personally feel yes, if it's posted. If it's not posted, I don't feel like it's really a deterrent. We don't know how much it's gonna be.
Yeah.
And was there a question as to whether there was a single price for a parking ticket? And if you were to raise it on Cochran Road, would you be raising it in other places that you wouldn't necessarily want to? I heard that question, but I don't know what the answer is.
I agree. And it was unclear to me why raising the fine on a traffic ticket, whether we were raising the fine on all ordinances.
Oh, that, okay.
I wasn't sure if we're set up in such a way to differentiate between, as you point out, dog pooping in the park,
Yeah,
or,
yeah,
parking in front of a fire hydrant, or parking in front of whatever.
yeah,
But I think that shouldn't slow down our progress.
yes.
I mean, if it's a little bit more work, I think it's still well worth it.
Right,
I don't have any suggestions when it comes to enforcement, I guess.
The only thing about, so if I'm understanding right, the enforcement part, that might be overstepping to say how they do it unless we've got some great idea. On the fine thing, we feel that is okay for us to make a recommendation. I just think that our role here is just to be sort of, cajoling and kind of kicking down. So are you proposing that using that surrounding town stuff? Because having that, again, thinking of the chain of stuff that has to happen, if we wanted to have that in signage, we'll have to decide on that before. But we also have to decide other stuff, like, is that too unfriendly? Does that sound, will we create backlash? It doesn't have much deterrent if people don't know what it is.
No,
But it also might sound unwelcoming.
I would propose that if you had a sign that said parking not allowed on travel portion of the road, and underneath it, you had a small sign that said $100 fine.
I personally think it's very helpful. I think
I
more
think so.
information is.
I think so.
And then next year we change it.
So is it not overstepping to sort of suggest, take the data that you gathered and suggest that Kevin work that with Josh?
No, I think he needs to ask, I think what we said was ask Josh if the select board wants any more data on increasing the.
But asking specifically about that topic, so that I think there's a little bit of nudging that we can do to keep that topic moving.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's funny if you connect the dots on this a little bit. The first survey we had out there said that over 82% of the people who were using parking on every road using the gorge were from out of town.
Mhm.
Of that, 10% from out of state. So these, we're not finding the local people $25, and by the same token, these are probably people who aren't used to being fined $25. If you're from Burlington, well, the fine starts out at $100, at UVM, they start at $150.
Mhm. So are we okay with asking Kevin to have a conversation with Josh to see, does the select board want any more information about increasing the penalty for parking? And also, do they want any more help with enforcement ideas?
Look, I think I'm fine running the enforcement thing through by Josh. And see
Okay.
if that does fall within our job description,
Okay.
you know, and I think
Do you want to take that then?
a fresh set
Did
of
you say
eyes,
you?
I can do that if you want, yeah.
What do you think about, and for, more bodies on the road, more enforcement people? Do you want to also say, is that in our purview or?
No, I
We'll
think
take a
that
vote?
I think using Josh as an objective sounding board is probably a good idea, just in case either John or I are kind of misinterpreting what's going on. Let's have a fresh set of eyes on it.
Are you taking notes, John?
No,
Oh.
but I can. You want me to?
I'm taking very light notes.
Okay, well, you can always replay the video.
Would you, I can easily switch to.
I'm leaving tomorrow morning at early
Okay.
morning, so I'm not gonna do anything more with this
Okay.
than pass this on to somebody, but, yeah, I won't be able to do the minutes of this meeting.
Do you want me, would it be, can you send me what do you have?
Just mine.
Let me switch into that. Let me do that since you don't want to do it. And I'll merge your notes in, okay?
Okay.
So we have a then suggestion of talking to Josh. Chuck's gonna talk to Josh, is that then? Is there more on enforcement?
That's it for me. Anyone else?
Move on to communication. Usage feedback calendar.
I threw that in, Chuck, when you were mentioning something about usage, like going forward, how do we know the ordinances helped? What are we looking for, or how do we know that the parking areas that we have are being used? Or, and we've talked about this before, so I just threw that in there. Usage.
No,
No. Well, we have parking ticket data. So that would be interesting. So we can always look at that in 2023.
We could go back on and bump out another survey. September, or October next year to. This reference can be Dudley Road and the East Cochran Road people and just say. Was this a gain? Was this a loss? Are we on the right track? You know, I think, and then at the same time, we should probably could talk to the RPD and say, how about you guys? What did you feel? How many cars were towed this year? How much were things easier for you?
So end of year recap to see how things again. Yeah.
I think the downside of that, there is a real downside is that it puts us a little tight time wise, as far as if we're going to react to that survey, getting it out there in time for it to make a difference. You know, this year we kind of rushed toward the end, and I think we need to do like the State House. We need to have a crossover date. You know, and if we haven't crossed something over by this point in time, then we need to hold off on it.
That's why I threw the calendar in there, because it seems like we've done this enough now. There's some things on the calendar that make sense. And like you said, the crossover date, like, you know, are we doing this after Labor Day? Check in with everybody, or do we do a midsummer check-in, or? And also the calendar, when do we like set the ropes up? When do we take them down? Because the last meeting, Kevin mentioned we should probably take them down at one of the other parking areas. But back to, before we get off of usage altogether, John, did you have any ideas for usage? You were talking about usage in parking lots. Do you want to follow through on anything, or?
In terms of measuring?
Yeah.
I think it's, no, just kind of a quick thought is, I think it would be really fun to have, like the land trust had some gear and the town forest folks had some gear for doing counting. And I'm thinking that a couple of places, it might be interesting to understand the usage numbers and patterns. To do that, well, you need a gate or, and it might be interesting to borrow that equipment, try to get some data on the parking at the land trust around Bombardier Field. It might be interesting to try to get that at Overrocker because we're trying to, improve the usage there. So I guess what I'd like to explore is whether we could borrow that equipment, buy that equipment, make that equipment. I don't know how important it is, but it sounds fun just to figure out what the overall usage by time is. No private information, no names, no.
So be like, when you pass on the trail and you're going up Campbell Sumpers, that nice dog,
Counter.
that kind of
And I
thing.
think data is always helpful, yeah. I don't think it's super important, but I do think, like figuring out how used is Overrocker.
Mm.
Is that something we would like to do, or? It's kind of like it would be fun for me, but I don't know if we've got money or time to do it. Is it?
Do you want to investigate it?
I think I want to investigate.
Okay.
I want to go make a proposal. I don't think it's as a high,
Yeah,
high importance thing. It's still. What was interesting, just since I'm talking about it, is I think I talked to you all about this, as I did my own survey of traffic on Cochran Road, just looking at speeds and counts. And that was interesting data. We knew that the average speed was higher than the speed limit. Same time, and we knew the direction and we knew the times and peaks. But that's not really what our job is. So anyway, let me noodle on it.
well, we could keep doing what we're doing is, ourselves or the neighbors can take pictures and count on East Cochran. You count it on Dudley, just because we have to be going home and we can take a look at what's going on around there. We can continue that, it's kind of, on the day, this 90, 85-degree day, this is what we saw on the front, this is what's going on. It's not anecdotal because it was observed, it's just not. It's just a point in time.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just a point in time, as opposed to,
Measuring it every day or having
Yeah.
an automated system.
yeah. I mean, even till before we took the ropes down, Johnny Brook Road, I've gone by, there's a couple cars there in wintertime. That seems to get steady use.
So,
Yeah, go ahead.
I just, where we are so far, John's gonna look into what it would take to have some perhaps automated messages. Just measurements.
Like it's, yeah.
And was there other thoughts then?
Except the end of year feedback, recapping, yeah,
Whether we'd have another survey.
yeah. We don't, usage, I was gonna ask another thing here. What's not written here is, under communication is public communication. Like what you said about perhaps the town needs to do what did you call it? Telling, there's a word for it, when you tell, like papers and WCX, There's a term used.
some announcement.
Some announcement, it's an announcement.
Press release?
Thank you, it's press release. I thought it was a great idea. Do we want to follow up on press release or is the town gonna do that? Is that another Josh question?
Well, the ordinances will have announcements.
In discussion.
Yeah.
So. Um. Anything else?
I don't have anything else for our communication agenda item. Oh, I have something for anything else if we're moving on.
Or the next one.
Are we ready to move on?
I'm a little behind.
Oh,
It's okay, I think.
No, let's help you catch up.
okay.
Do you have a question?
No, just the wording on the next steps for the ordinance work is that just Kevin is gonna work with Josh to keep the process going. Was there anything?
No, that was it.
Okay, that's
I
what
think.
Yeah,
That's all I have.
and we had fines under enforcement, right?
Yes. Under enforcement was fines and traffic help or assist. And Chuck is gonna go talk to Josh. And ask, does the select board want any more input from us on increasing penalty? Do they want any input from us on enforcement ideas? Speed of the triggering. Hey, you good for anything else, John?
Are we ready to move on? I guess the land trust is about to spend hundreds of thousands of dollars on Gillette Pond. And did we have any idea whether they're considering parking? I know there's similar steep embankments that there are on Cochran Road or on Dugway Road.
Great question. I don't know the answer to that.
Should we ask them?
So the question would be, is there,
They haven't owned that land very long. They bought it from the Girl Scouts.
yeah, is there parking
It's just-
allocated with the dam work?
And then there is a place one can pull off that I think was deliberately made by Pete.
Yeah, down right on the waterfront.
Down by the water.
Yeah, I think if anything, we're gonna get feedback from Duran Road. But into the Girl Scout camp,
Yeah,
the Lowe's.
yeah.
Live right there. I mean, that's gonna be where the feedback comes from. Any further up than that, I think, any further than the turnaround area you're speaking of is pretty mucky marshy. They're not gonna get up all the way to the,
Yeah,
you know. to the
you
next-
don't think there's anywhere they can put in a parking lot for I haven't ever thought about it as I walk that road.
Be surprising that they're gonna put that into that without having some plan for somebody to park somewhere,
Yeah,
you know. Like I say, Duran Road is the most obvious overflow place.
yeah, okay. And then that's the skaters are there because it's shoveled down there.
Yeah,
I think that's a really natural question to ask them.
the Girl Scout camp is,
What was the question?
Is there parking being allocated with the dam work that's
Okay,
happening?
so sort of getting ahead of the. Okay, that makes.
Yeah.
okay, just-
It could end with a question. They could say yes, they could say no, and then we could
Yeah.
move on and not.
Yeah.
I think we have that same scenario where across from the water. You've got it fairly well ditched because of the runoff from
Yeah,
the knob there. And then what you got on the riverside, on the side, the pond side, it's just steep.
Yeah.
There's very limited access to that.
Yeah.
I guess maybe. I don't. The guardrail up by the Girl Scout camp. Then it's swampy on both sides before you get to Durant Road. Then you get the dam, then you've got. I guess. Stretch between
yeah.
Duran Road and.
senior lows and John lows.
Then in Huntington, there's a school bus turnaround.
Yeah,
Mhm.
interesting.
Mhm. Who would like to ask that question?
Should I ask them?
Yeah.
Okay,
If you want to.
it'll just be a question.
What is their plan for there?
They're replacing the dam, is that?
I knew that part.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay,
And there's, will there be any parking as part of the project?
yeah, no, I
Yeah, I guess that's,
Question.
okay,
if the pond levels come back up again, then it's gonna be winter and summer because it's very popular.
yeah,
Skating and ice fishing and everything else there.
And they're taking trees down to make this project happen. That's a really good question. Yeah.
all right, it'll just be a question, not.
I think the Girl Scout camp would benefit from that because I think they own that. That mini peninsula that goes out into the pond from their side. So they would be, canoe access, things like that. They've been not had so much in the last couple of years. That's now run by the New Hampshire Council.
It's amazing what's gonna happen.
All right, well, I'll ask them.
Great question.
Is there anything else besides Gillette Pond?
I think when we were gonna talk about next meeting, the agenda, this is a good time just to talk about the next meetings, or do you want to put that down to,
Well,
Agenda.
we have a quorum, we could approve the past meeting minutes.
great, so we have, are we all okay to move on?
Can I ask a question? Just,
Yep.
ask,
Yep.
who was gonna do what with the press release?
Chuck made that comment at the select board, on Dugway Road. Perhaps, when this, at the beginning of in May, we could set up a press release saying new parking pattern
Is anyone,
on Dugway. And everyone goes, yeah, it's a good idea. I don't know.
Good question.
did anybody?
Nobody
take it?
grabbed that.
I didn't,
Nobody grabbed that, and that might be something that we work with Josh to do in May. We could wrap that into the new parking pattern. Real, a little bit more informative. Maybe not.
okay, that's fine.
Do you
Okay,
think
Let's
we would,
discuss.
do you think we would generate the press release or it seems like that should come to a select board, but maybe we.
I think,
the
yeah.
more we do, the more,
let's just-
yeah, we'll assist with it. Yeah. If nothing else.
Yeah.
Yeah. See where it happens to be.
We also discussed additional surveys, which we also will, I think will, I think that's also something we should discuss with Josh. Okay.
All right. And you, John, you got ear up on anything else?
The main, two quick. You guys can keep talking.
So you're up on it's okay that we go to the next one, which is called approve past meetings. So you know
Do we know which ones they are? that
I
need
did.
approval?
that. I looked them up, because, John, is there, did I approve past meeting minutes?
Can I ask for the Select Pond thing, is our action there to ask
Of the dam
who
reconstruction.
wants to ask?
Should we invite them to come to a meeting and discuss that?
How about that?
Well, I could start by asking,
Might be a quick answer. Yeah, we
Okay.
got 5
Yeah.
spots. We're gonna put them over there. Done.
So the follow-up is,
Yeah,
Um,
John's going to.
and it's just a question, it's not a. Suggestion or preference.
Looking to do there wouldn't necessarily create more demand. But most likely it would, you know, they're looking to fix a dam, which is a worthy cause.
Yeah.
The byproduct of which is more doing, more ice fishing, more skating, more swimming, more whatever, so I mean, they should be prepared for that. Or somebody should be prepared for that.
They should be prepared for swimming in that place. Yes, I agree. Definitely more canoes.
so are they doing purchase or are they just doing
No,
they're doing
they're
the dam?
they're building it, yeah. They've started on some tree
And
excavation.
dams cost more than they used to, it's, I think, hundreds of thousands of dollars.
680, I was just looking it up online here, $685,000 to fix the dam, something like that.
And I did, when Brad did the right on porch farm, he said, you know, it's gonna look a little he didn't, I don't think he used the word austere, but it's gonna look, and then he said, it will naturally fill back, naturally begin to look natural again, which tells me it's gonna look, bright and shiny, and then, yeah.
$825,000 total cost.
I had no idea that, yeah. Wow,
Wow.
good for them.
Maybe they didn't park on the dam. Okay, so I'm up to speed, so
Okay.
through past minutes.
All right, it is 6:54, this right was done. Yeah, approved past minutes, we have 2, we have one from December 12th and one from January 9th.
Obviously, yeah.
Does anybody want any of this brought up to look at? Or can we just do one and then the other?
Okay,
Go ahead.
meeting minutes,
I vote to approve them.
I second, if you want me to second, and
Agree.
all agreed,
Okay,
and.
and the next one is.
Approve the. All in favor? Aye.
Aye. Right, good, those got approved.
Do we discuss the agenda for the next meeting?
That'd be great. Just wanted to double check on everyone's availability. So we have two times in February. The 13th and the 20th.
It's not, we here.
July 7.
Isn't,
So-
isn't that weird that it's,
No, it's because they're divisible. So the 13th and 7th?
so February, we have the 13th and
Yes.
27th, and in March, we have the 13th and 27th. I thought for sure I made a mistake.
So are we choosing a person?
No, I was just saying, is everybody there here during that time?
I currently don't have plans. It's possible I'll end up missing one, but.
Now,
And I was gonna,
what about all the prep for Valentine's Day?
for Kevin, he might be off on that school vacation week. All right, so if we're all gonna be here, I just wanted to put that out, because I thought last time we were together, we weren't gonna be here, but we actually are. here. So, does anybody? I mean, this was a pretty sparse meeting. Do you wanna go once a month for 2 months? Or you want to see how it goes? You want to meet on the 13th and see if we need to go? It's up to you guys.
Do you know, my view would be, when we meet on the 13th, let's get a sense of, is the ordinance step on process to, be enacted, to be voted on, whether it's enacted or not, on time, or and then I think we could drop back. I would feel more comfortable.
Anything else? All right.
I think things like John is identifying what's one thing is something we want to have and discuss it. If somebody took on each one of those things, then we came in once a month with our report. That might be a good use of our time.
Or I just want to see if I missed. I can do it.
So yes for the 13th?
I'm okay with it.
Yeah, I think so.
Yes for the 13th, and we can decide on 13th, we want
Drop back.
2
Yeah.
weeks.
Yeah.
I feel like go for it. All right. So I feel like there's a longer time between now and then, like 2.5 weeks or something like that, feels longer.
30 days in September, April, May, and November, all the way stuff peanut butter, except for every share that's about 31.
So just agenda for next meeting is ordinance update, and I'm gonna put down anything else.
Well, I think if we could hear from about the interest, and then we could, and
Yeah, if you, that's a good point.
That's a good
If you feel that they have an idea or they're thinking about it, they want to come on and talk to us.
Okay, I mean, my guess is it's not
Yeah.
something they've been thinking about, but I'll ask. I mean, who should I start with?
Jim,
Jim, okay.
he seems to be our, and I don't, if he's not the right one,
Okay.
Brad Elliott's been the communication on the
Okay.
search form that I have read.
Okay, I'll just ask.
Yeah, I don't know how the division of labor is.
Yeah. Okay. Are we gonna wait for Kevin?
maybe we should drop paper cutouts and have an owl.
Did Lisa have any thoughts?
Lisa, do you have any thoughts before anything we should know about from your end?
There, I had to find my mouth. No, I sent a chat message in a while back. I just happened to think of something, but I don't know if you guys got it. About your enforcement, we're discussing that. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, my internet connection is unstable, it tells me, so I don't know. It's hard to know what's going through.
Did you have
an idea?
Oh, yeah, I sent it to Richmond Host, but I don't know who that is exactly. Maybe I just sent it to the TV people. I'll just say it out loud. I was wondering if the enforcement of the Dugway parking limits could be done by rented security. instead of our police force. I mean, somebody needs to enforce it, but maybe that's a one issue, single or simple, relatively simple enforcement that can be done by someone who's not town personnel, but someone who's got some authority. And that would keep it from burdening our police department, which is pretty burdened. And so the fines pay for the rental, basically, hopefully. If they don't, then we don't need the enforcement. And the ordinance and signs, of course, would have to be very clear and easy to enforce. You guys were already talking about that. So just an idea. Maybe you can ask Josh that along with the other things you're going to ask, and maybe it'll help him see a way through without, more police duties.
Yeah, we didn't use that term rented security, but that's a good thing. Yeah. Online, I looked up traffic wardens. They cover, it's hard to call, what do you call the meter maid now? It's like,
Right.
but security, like hire security for a little bit or hire enact traffic wardens. Both of those would come out of either the police department or, some umbrella of that.
Yeah, maybe. You remember the Altamont concert in California many decades ago? They hired the Hells.
Yes.
Like with the Rolling Stones. And
Yeah,
the
it didn't turn out very well, but interesting idea. So,
No, but right, Burlington has something that is not police, but they're public safety. And I think that's kind of what they
Right.
do, is they do a lot of the ticketing and those kind of things.
yeah, I think that makes more sense for them to do that too. It's a one issue focus, and you can train for it if necessary. And it's not I wouldn't want armed people out there. I think that's a little threatening. So.
I remember, we have some kind of vest on,
Yes.
and you usually see them coming and
Right.
usually running to your car. Yes.
The difference might be the fact that in Burlington, if you had one of these young people out there, that they have a radio and that they're never out on their own terribly.
Right.
Where
Right.
deploying these people on Dugway Road, where their best chance is to call the one officer we have on duty who may or may not be in the area. That may not be such a, more I think about it, then my plan may not be such a good one.
True. Yeah. Well, probably a pair or three of them working together or something, but yeah, just.
Yeah, we'd be hanging some young kid out there out to dry, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. There's have to be somebody with experience. Yeah. Somebody's lifting.
Are meeting minutes out on the
That's all.
drive?
What?
Are the meeting minutes out on the drive?
Which one?
The groups of people there.
I don't think so. Kevin and I did not do that. All right. Should we just hang out, wait for Kevin? You want me to text him? To tell him
Okay,
that
with
we
us.
got you?
See you on the 13th text.
What's that?
Yeah, okay. We'll wait till John comes back before we close out the meeting. But that does remind me that I will not be around to get the agenda out for the next meeting, so I will ask Kevin to.
Where are we?
I just don't have a computer, it's gonna be
Oh.
traveling, it has to be out on the Thursday, we're just coming back on the Thursday, so.
Wait. For the February 13th?
Yeah,
Are we back on the 9th?
which is a Thursday, so that has to be,
Oh. the
Into
agenda,
Josh.
The agenda.
yeah, it has to be out.
I can-
I'll ask Kevin.
I'll have it here.
Are we looking to line up James from the Land Trust to join us, or for that meeting?
That'd be great.
I just said that John would invite.
He's involved on that. That's the plan.
Yeah,
Yeah, if Kevin can't do the agenda, let me know. Then we could.
thanks. Yeah, it's just really cut and paste what we have already.
So you should go back to the meeting, but you're not necessarily back in time
Exactly.
to put the warning in.
Exactly.
Comes to your notes, or?
Sure. All right, when John comes back, we could just, if you want. I think we're good.
Are we gonna wait for Kevin or? Oh, go.
I'm happy to, I don't care.
Send the text.
Okay, we'll send him the text.
Okay. Are we gonna, what, vote to adjourn or?
Sure.
I make a motion that we adjourn the meeting.
I second.
7:05.
I'm in agreement. John?
I.
I'm still typing.
Okay,
All right, and someone knows how to.
bye, Lisa. Thanks for coming.
Thank you.
Bye.
All right,
There you are. Thank you.